What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Partially Cultured Podcast. I'm your host, Aaron, and with me, as always, is my co-hosts, Alan and Isaac.
How's it going, guys?
How's it going, guys?
Remember, guys, to go and check out our website, partiallycultured.com, and hit our social media links at the bottom. And, leave us some comments. Tell us what you guys want to hear. Things you've liked, things you haven't liked, suggestions, whatever you guys want to leave. We read all those. So make sure and do that. Hit the buttons and the likes and the subscribes and all the bullshit. So without further ado, let's talk about what we're going to talk about today. Today we are going to talk about Deja Vu and possibly get into some Mandela effect because they have, kind of across of each other in some aspects, but we'll get into that. So everybody knows what deja vu is. It's French for already seen. It's when you experience something that you feel like you've seen before, but you don't remember seeing it before. So it's like being in some place that you've already been. So everybody knows what it is. I'm assuming everybody's experienced it, but from what my research is, not everybody experiences deja vu. So
yeah. And apparently, I didn't even know this, but there's a bunch of other variations on it that are not the exact same thing. But like, there's jamais vu, which is like never seen. So when you're in a familiar situation, but you don't recognize it, or déjà vécu, which is like already lived. So it's like you have this intense feeling of having already lived through something, but it's false. And there's like a presque vu, almost seen. So it's like an intense feeling of being on the very brink of a powerful epiphany. It's like having like a premonition almost or something. Deja rêve, and mind you, I'm not French, so I'm sure I'm butchering these. Already dreamed,
sounds
so it's a feeling of
perfect.
have already dreamed
Sounds horrible to
something.
me.
And then there's deja entendu, which is already heard. So it's like when you hear something and you swear you've heard it before
Yeah,
or you've listened to something before.
deja
So like I've
Nintendo.
even and I've had some of those experiences in the past, but I didn't even realize there was a specific word for it. I kind of just chalked it up to deja vu, right? Being the same
Everybody kind of
thing, but
collectively
I
puts
guess
it
there's
into that
specific.
category, even if it's not that. Yeah, there's deja senti, which is
Yeah,
already thought, and deja visite, which is already visited as well. Those are the common,
yeah,
well, I guess those are the more common ones, even though I've never heard of them either. But deja vu was the only one that I really
yeah.
knew about.
I mean, I feel like there's a lot of explanations that I've read up because we're doing some research on it, and like a lot of the explanations behind it are, you know, it's their past memories that maybe our brain forgot, and then you get into a similar situation that's not exact obviously, but maybe like you were into someone's house and there was two people and they sat a certain position and there was a certain color or something that kind of recalls in the back of your mind a lost memory, and because it's a memory that was lost, it transposes itself onto the memory or the experience that you're currently having, because it's similar enough to have like some kind of recall, and then you have that feeling. There's also like medical disorders apparently, like epilepsy
Epilepsy.
or
Yeah.
yeah, frontal lobe kind of issues that um cause like premonition or the feeling of premonition
Yeah,
or
so
deja
that's
vu.
that's the question. Like,
um
so do you think that deja vu is just a gap in our perception? Like the way that we perceive it is just it's delayed in our brains. It's going through. Maybe it's taken in by the frontal cortex and it hasn't been translated correctly. Or maybe it's being interpreted in the wrong lobe or whatever of your brain, and that's why you think that that's why you're seeing or feeling or experiencing this way. I mean, do you guys believe that that's what it is? Because I don't think there's any definitive studies on this stuff, but I think there's stuff that's out there that says,
Yeah, there's not because you can't make it happen,
right,
right? There's like some studies that say the stimulation of the frontal lobe can sometimes make this occur, but it's hard to get it in a lab environment and test it because you don't know when it's going to happen. So
I read when I was doing the research, there was this guy that had like a growth in his frontal lobe or something, and the cancer was making it so that well, I don't know if it was cancer, but it was a growth. I'm assuming it was some type of cancer. But he was having deja vu all the time, like nonstop. It's like every from the moment he woke up to the moment he went to sleep, everything felt like that deja vu feeling. And he'd be walking around and talking to people, and it always felt like he had lived this or experienced it or whatever it was. So it's like there seems to be some correlation with it, definitely having something to do with the frontal lobe. But like we don't know, like we have so little knowledge on how the brain works and like what causes what, and then for all we know, like how Isaac's saying, like, what if it's more to do with perception? What if it's how we translate things? What if it's part of the brain, part of that part of the brain is responsible for things that we aren't even aware of, and the stuff that we're perceiving or that we're thinking that we're perceiving is something else that we weren't aware of, like something that's happening around us or something that we have lived or experienced, or maybe it's a different dimension or some other nonsense, and that part of our brain has like visibility or can perceive something that we can't normally perceive. Like there's so much possibilities.
There really are. You're on mute, I think, Isaac.
You're on mute, Isaac.
I can
Yep.
hear you.
Am I on mute now? No.
No.
No, you're good.
I was saying maybe like a sixth sense or something like that, where you're perceiving more than
Yeah.
your five senses that you currently know of. It's something that's beyond you, extra sensory perhaps, or something like that. It's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Or like how like sometimes you can feel when someone's looking at you, but you're not seeing them, like you just have like a feeling like someone's looking at you and
Yeah,
you'll
that's
look.
weird. I don't. What is that?
Yeah, it's like that's what I'm saying. Like we clearly have something other senses that we just aren't aware of, right? Like, or even when like sometimes you have like a really bad feeling and you don't know exactly why you have a bad feeling. It's like something's not right, and then you'll like get out of the situation and you'll find out the next day, like, oh yeah, some crazy stuff happened, or like
Some Final
something bad
Destination
happened.
shit.
Yeah, and you're like, So it's like we definitely are constantly taking in, sensory information from all these different things, and for all we know, we have something that is, you know, able to perceive something that we're not
What if
quickly to
it's what if
quick to
what if it's
comprehend.
just subconscious, right? So we
Yeah,
are
let's
we
see.
are taking in all this shit. Let me give you an example. So let's just do like some Final Destination shit. So you see a news report on TV about some airline that is short 10,000 mechanics, and they're doing this like shoddy inspections and shit. And you hear that 6 months ago, and then you feel some type of way when you're going to the airport, you know, getting on this plane, which is the same company plane, and that's you don't remember that shit, but subconsciously it's coming up. I don't feel right about getting on this plane, because you're thinking about
Well,
it.
that's what they say it is, right? Like it's a lost memory, like a memory that deep in your subconscious, part of it exists, like some part of it in some kind of form exists, and that it's coming to the forefront because it's being triggered by this new experience. It's like that's quite possibly what it is, and that makes the most sense, right? Like that's the most logical. I feel like it's just I feel like that's but there's been situations that I've been in that I swear like I've thought, especially after doing research, I've sat and I've thought about some of them, and I'm like, no, like,
I know for a
okay,
fact I have never seen this, been here.
or been people, right? Like I just bought this house. I haven't lived here ever. I've never met this person. I've never had this group of people together. I haven't had a group of people that looked like any of these people together. I haven't done this particular activity with these folks or with other people that might have looked like them. So it's just like and then the deja vu moment isn't something like as arbitrary as like the black cat, right? And you're just seeing a cat, it's just obscure. It's like no, like I specifically recall these people. Like I remember seeing this person like in the memory before even seeing them. You know what I'm saying? Like I remember waking up and being like or having a dream and being like, oh, who the hell is this girl? Like I've never seen this girl before, and she was with this person, and like that guy never has any girls. He never brings girls around or something. And we were playing this game, and we were doing this, and we were sitting this way. I was like, and then a month later goes by, and then that actual thing happens. So it's almost like reverse. deja vu. It's like the already lived one, right? Where it's like I woke up, dreamt it, remember it happening, haven't met this person, and then in the future I meet the person,
You've
right?
actually
So
had
it's
that
like what?
happen.
Yeah, with Carlos and his
How do
girl.
you explain that shit to the people when you meet them? Be like, I
I
know
don't.
you. Is it? Could that
I
be
don't.
one of those things? You
Well,
look
that's what I was about to
familiar.
say because
Yeah, I've
I've
had
met people
that
that are like,
where I'm like, but it's
have
like,
I met you before? But I'm certain I haven't. But they're like, oh yeah, you used to work at Mathis Brothers or something like that. I'm like, yeah, I used to work there.
yeah,
Weird.
that happens. But like exact scenarios like, oh, this person's gonna bring this person. This person, I've never seen how they look. They look exactly like the person that I dreamt of. We are doing, we're playing a game. We're all together. We're all drinking. These other people are also here who they've never met because they've never met this girl because this girl's a new person.
That's pretty
Like,
specific.
you know what I mean? Like it's very, very, very specific. And then it's like, huh, that's weird. And then like something will be said, and then it'll trigger. Like someone will say something. I'm like, whoa, this is that dream that I had a month ago or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like that's fucking weird. Like look at all the stuff going on. Like it's all the same stuff. You know what I mean? And it's like, what the heck? Like that's super weird.
Well,
You know what I mean?
what I'm
That's
wondering
very
is
different
when
than
somebody
recalling something.
recognizes you, maybe they've had that recollection or that preconception of you or whatever. So it's like maybe I didn't feel it,
Yeah.
but maybe they had that same kind of effect that you had. It's like, oh yeah, I remember you from somewhere, or this and this and that. But it's like,
And it could go. Go
I was
ahead.
gonna say, like some of the people that have said that, like, oh yeah, I know you from somewhere or something. I never worked even close to those people, so like, there's no possible way they would have. Even if we worked at the same location, we were in totally segmented areas. We would never have seen each other.
Well, that goes back to the subconscious thing, though. I mean, it's not as wide as somebody working at the same
Yeah.
place, but you. I mean, you're always taking in stuff. You could just walk down the street. You could be in a 7-Eleven, on the other side of town, and see some dude you've never seen him before, and then 3 months later, you'll be somewhere else and be like,
You're like,
"Where have I
oh,
seen that dude?" I mean,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
just because
yeah,
we remember a hell of a lot more than we actually remember that we
yeah. We
can
choose.
bring
Yeah,
up, quickly.
yeah.
Yeah, the thing is, like, the brain usually
That's true.
puts into long-term storage or long-term memory things that are important or have some kind of significance. Um, so it'd be interesting to know, like if you remember something like that, Alan, like was that a significant event? Why was it significant for you to remember that person? Like, or whatever. So
Yeah, it's like what exactly about that situation caused it to be stored, right? Or like what caused it to be something that was determined to be important? Like was it, and then that 'cause sometimes, especially because some of these things are like super duper arbitrary. So it's like, huh, this is definitely not important. So maybe it's not only important, maybe it's just like things that are happen repeatedly, right? So like I was looking in my research, that was saying that people that travel more or people that go to a lot of different places, they experience deja vu more frequently because they might do the same thing in a lot of different places that causes the thing to come up, right? Like if you're constantly at the airport, constantly in hotel rooms, going to different, checking out the best restaurant in one city versus another
Well,
city,
yeah,
same type of
but
food.
they're taking in so much more info too. They're not just
Exactly.
sitting in their house every day. I mean, they're
Yeah.
taking in everything all the time.
Yeah. Which would lend to the thesis of like it being something to do with our subconscious and our sensory, like our, what we experience in our subconscious and like you know hidden memories.
So that kind of leads into one of the notes that I took doing the research. It says it's most common in teens and early 20s or in the 20s. I wonder if that is because you have less fewer memories. You can recall that stuff. You have deja vu more often because you don't have as much to recall. At 50 years old, you got 25 years on somebody's worth of garbage that you've been taking in that's just in a junk pile in your brain somewhere.
I would think it'd be the opposite. I would think it'd be more if because you have more things to recall. right? Like more stuff to come up. But I guess maybe it's the opposite. Like you have so much to recall, it kind of gets lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. You just like,
It could also be like people that are younger just have more free time, so they go out and do shit more. Teenagers like late teens, early 20s, you're going out drinking, going to the bar, hanging out with friends,
well, they haven't
doing
killed all their
stuff.
they haven't killed all their
Well,
brain cells yet, too. So like their brains could be firing
I
a
was
little
going to say though, I think
faster.
at that point
Well,
they're still
they don't have as many
building the brain.
responsibilities.
I mean, the brain's still it's still
Yeah,
developing, and
Developing,
there's
yeah.
new neurons still firing and all that other stuff in that new area of the brain and stuff. So those are probably being. I mean, there's a lot of stuff you learn when you're a kid too. So I wonder if there's just some reorganization that has to be done there. Maybe that's when you're seeing that lot, more often. It, I mean, if we knew how the brain stored that stuff exactly, it probably would help out. But we have
What
no
caused
freaking
it?
idea.
yeah.
It's such a anomaly.
I
It's such
mean,
a mind-boggling thing.
you guys know that I'm a big fan of the whole multiple dimensions, parallel universes, all that kind of stuff. Like just constant, huge spider web of shit that's going on. I mean, you never know. What if that is what's going on? Maybe what if like we're recalling something that we did live, but in a different time, like and it's like
So
the world lines merged or something,
so the
and now you're
the explanation I got on this was not different times. So any thoughts you may have had have already happened in a different universe or a parallel
exactly.
universe to yours. And they cross over at times so that in the alternate universe, the alternate you is doing the exact same thing that you're doing in this universe. That's
That makes
why it
sense.
feels like deja vu, because
That could be it
your
too.
parallel self is actually doing it with you, and it feels like you've already done it. So
I could
I
see that.
was like, I gotta reach a little more for that one, than just brain firing different or
Yeah.
something. But I'm not saying it's not possible and not true. I'm just saying it's that one's a lot harder to
Well, if
explain.
you get down to like the quantum
Well, my
mechanics and all that stuff, the theories on the quantum level, there's that the idea of like quantum entanglement, where
yeah,
basically matter takes up the same exact. Well, it doesn't have to necessarily take up the exact same spatial location, but essentially it could be connected, entangled. This matter here on our plane might be connected to another plane, and in that case, you're something like you're saying, like maybe you're both doing the same thing at the same time, but there's some kind of crossover. Maybe there's a black hole in between us or something, and that's happening. Or there's some kind of entanglement where our bodies exist and they're able to communicate across those parallel universes or whatever, or realities or planes.
Well, while we're talking about parallel universes, let's talk a little bit about the Mandela effect and how that ties into this. So, which one of you guys wants to tell everybody what the Mandela effect is if they don't know?
I don't mind. So the Mandela effect gets its name from Nelson Mandela and the fact that when he passed away, a large group of people started recollecting that he had already died and he had already passed back in like the late 80s, early 90s or something, and that they recall it being all over the news and it being like a huge thing and seeing the funeral and all this stuff. And then a bunch of other people were like, no, what are you talking about? That never happened. He's just died in 2010, 2013, whatever it was. So we had a couple of different groups that essentially believed in completely separate things happening, completely separate recollections of something that occurred in the past. And then that people started doing research and realizing that there's a lot of other situations where we have a collective group of people, a large collective group sometimes, recollecting things a completely different way than another group, right? So, for instance, one of the more popular ones that I personally was the one that kind of got me into was Berenstein Bears. This child book, right? There was Berenstein Bears, which is like it was spelled with the EI, and then there's Berenstain Bears with the AI. And I swear up and down, I read those books a lot as a kid, right? Like when those were like the very small little picture books. I read them a lot, and I distinctly remember the EI spelling. As a matter of fact, when I seen the AI, I was like, oh, this must be like a typo or something,
It's their
right? Like
cousin.
you know what I mean? Like someone messed up because like that was my before I even realized what it was that I was what was the Mandela effect was. I was like, oh, they spelled Berenstain Bears wrong, and then I'm sitting there reading what the Mandela effect. I'm like, whoa, right? Like that's not what's oh that's crazy. And I'm like, then when you start looking through, and there's so many of those different like scenarios and examples that it starts making you really wonder, like, huh,
What's funny about that is,
this is
even
kind of
though we've talked
strange.
about this and I knew that how that was spelled, my notes show the EI spelling on it right here. But that might just be because we recollect or we attribute that to like a Jewish name, and that's usually like an EI thing. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, but there's a lot of other
no,
examples. Like
I know, but it's
enough
funny because
examples.
even though I knew that it's an AI, I still wrote it as
Oh, okay.
EI on my paper. So like, there's, I mean, there's something to that, even if it's right or whatever. But the whole premise of
What
the
a bunch
Mandela
of
effect
people.
thing is that there's a belief that there's like a merging of the two universes, or there's some kind of
Mhm.
glitch that's being readjusted or something, or maybe there's some kind of time flow issue or something, and things got rearranged, and that's like kind of the anomaly of these things that we misremember or that we attribute to the Mandela effect.
So you guys, any guys that have experienced or not experienced, but know what we're talking about here. The one we found out yesterday. We'll save you guys some time on the googling on this one. All of us, I think it was all of us, maybe not Isaac, but I know me and Alan both thoroughly remembered Sinbad, the comedian, doing a
The
genie
genie.
movie. And a lot of, come to find out, there's a lot of other people that think that Sinbad did a genie movie. He did not. That was Shaq. We know that. But doing our research on this, we found that Sinbad actually hosted a Sinbad the Sailor movie marathon on some network years ago, like in the early 90s or something. And he was dressed like a genie on that. So that one, I think, is kind of can be solved. You know, that it's something we've seen before, but we've mixed it up with something
I do
else.
remember seeing him
So
in that outfit, though. I just didn't remember a movie. So, but I couldn't recollect where it was attributed to. Like, why would he be dressed up like Sinbad the Sailor or whatever?
right.
Yeah,
But it kind of makes sense. It's
I
like, oh,
remembered something like a
his name
certain
is
outfit.
Sinbad. You know, maybe he did that for fun or whatever. But not even he
Well,
remembered it
the
though.
thing
Like
is
someone
that
had to remind him with a picture of his own costume, and
yeah,
he's like, oh
that's
yeah,
true.
that's what it was.
It would have been funny if he'd have been like, "No, wait, I remember being in Kazam." And they'd be like, "No, that wasn't even you." That's like double Mandela effect.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna run through a few of these though, just so that people get what's going on. Because what really tripped me out was a few of these, and the fact that it's not just me, right? Like it's one thing if it's just me misrecollecting things, or me not remembering things, or me having a deja vu feeling, or whatever the heck it is. But like when there's a whole bunch of people that are saying something, and I'm like, nope, that's not how it was. Well, that's weird. Then I feel like there's more to it with the whole world line merging thing. Like Oscar Mayer being spelled versus Oscar Mayer, right? Or Oscar Mayer being spelled with an A-Y instead of the E-Y. That I feel like is wrong. I feel like that's a
It's
strange one.
always been spelled with an A. The song, man, Mayer.
I remember E, man. I don't know what to tell you. I remember E. Or Pikachu's tail apparently not having any black on it. It only is straight yellow. I don't remember that. I distinctly remember it being a child drawing Pikachu and then putting the black thing on the tail. So that doesn't make any sense to me. Like it's just weird things that like I know for a fact I seen, I experienced, I've done. So
I have a kind of a possible solution to the Pikachu one.
what?
Because I was thinking about it because I looked at a picture of Pikachu and I'm like, what does that remind me of? And the tail that has that like Z
Lightning
shape,
shape?
it's the same shape as like Charlie Brown's T-shirt. and that's black.
Oh yeah.
And how many times have we seen Charlie Brown?
Yeah.
I mean,
Maybe.
I don't know.
What
That's the
about
way I connected that one.
what about the Fruit of the Loom logo doesn't have a cornucopia on it?
Now that one blew my
I
mind.
swear. Yeah, I'm
I
like,
never
wait a
remember it
second. I
showing that, but you
specifically,
guys both remember it that way, though. So
yeah. I'm like, it has a cornucopia. Matter of fact, I remember buying some Fruit of the Loom where I'm like, oh, they changed the logo. It doesn't have the corner. Like I remember before even realizing that was a thing, until I read that list and realized like, oh, that's a Mandela effect example. That's never had a cornucopia. I'm like, bullshit. Bullshit. I remember even having the thought in my brain before I even realized it was one of the options of, oh, they changed the logo. They took the cornucopia off. I wonder why they did that. And then fucking years later, I'm like, oh, what? You tell me they never had a cornucopia? Bullshit. No, 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 no. Nope. I remember distinctly putting on underwears every fucking day with that goddamn logo on it. They're not gonna convince me otherwise. I do not care what anyone says.
Yeah,
There's
that one blew my mind. And then I looked, and they're like, the brand's website states the logo has never had a Horn of Plenty or cornucopia on it, and I'm like, I feel like someone's lying at Fruit of the Loom because that one, I would bet money if someone asked me that and we hadn't talked about it already. And
yep.
I would be like, I bet you $100 it has a cornucopia, and I would lose $100 because it does not.
Curious George doesn't have a tail. Curious George, a fucking monkey, guys. He's not an ape. Okay, Curious George is a monkey. I specifically remember reading the Curious George book with the guy in the yellow suit, and he had a tail. You're gonna tell me he never had a tail? I just
he's never
imagined all
hanging
these
out of a
times
tree
of
or anything
reading
by his
that book.
tail. So I mean, I'd remember that.
I don't know, man. I remember him having a tail. I don't know what to tell you. It's just kind of strange, you know? Kind of strange. Looney Tunes is spelled Tunes, not Toons. I remember it being the two O's,
Wait a
right?
minute, it's actually spelled
Yeah.
Tunes?
Yeah.
No, come on.
There's a reason for
Yeah.
that because
It's
they played
and I'm like,
music with the
no.
tune, so that you know
Yeah.
with the cartoon.
But I remember seeing
But it's a
the
play
two
on words. It
O's.
makes sense
I
this
watch
way. It
Looney
doesn't make
Tunes
sense the
all the
other way.
time. I get what you're saying, but it does in the sense that it's cartoons. They're cartoons, Looney Tunes. I thought they were loony cartoons,
That makes
not loony music, not loony music because they played music. Like, listen, I don't care what nobody says. This is the situation I'm talking about. This is what I mean.
Well,
You're saying
everybody
one
knew
thing,
them
Isaac.
as
You have a
tune
good point.
cartoons, so tunes was short for cartoons. But the whole point was they're applying music to it, so it's tunes,
No, man.
Tunes.
But the thing is,
we
man, I remember when Space Jam came out. All right, I remember going through a phase where I was a big artist. I drew a lot when I was a kid. My daughter draws a lot. It's a thing my family does. They have painters. I did this. I remember specifically going the drawing
drawing it
Bugs Bunny
wrong.
and Taz and putting the like look like copying like tracing papers sometimes even like other art like tracing the O's. Like I remember the act of the trace. Like I remember seeing it. I would draw Taz all the time and Bugs. You know what I mean? Like and Daffy. Like I know that it had two O's. Just like I know the Fruit of the Looms had a cornucopia. And Pikachu had goddamn black on it.
Well, maybe
So
the black
I
was
don't
like
know.
the shadow. Maybe
Berenstein
that's
Bears
just like
is
the
an E.
shadow underneath his tail. Maybe that's what you thought was there.
No,
Your
no,
brain's trying to
no,
implant
Isaac.
that. Oh, hey, there should be a shadow.
What's
Right
happening
here.
here, sir?
I'm gonna
What's happening is the world lines got
put a
fucked
happy
up.
little tree right
Something
over here in
happened.
this corner. You know, happy little shadow.
The parallel universes converged, man. I'm telling you, something happened. They got converged, got mixed together, and something's wonky's going on in this simulation. I don't know what's going on. Something's going on. That something got
Well,
entangled
I've
with
got
something.
one. What about
It
Forrest
does.
Gump? Do you remember the line about the chocolates? What is
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, yeah. It's not the way it's supposed to be.
Mom said life's like a box
Mama,
of
Mama,
chocolates. You never know
Nope.
what you're
Mama
going to get.
always said
Nope.
life is
Was a box is a box
is
of
or was?
chocolates
Which
or
one is
was
it?
a box of chocolates. Yeah.
Its mom always said life was like a
No,
box of
it's
chocolates.
she never said life's like a box of chocolates. That never
Right.
happened
Not life
apparently.
is like a box
And
of
like
chocolates, but was because he's telling it in the past tense because she's already died.
I remember it being Mama always said life's like a
I
box of
I
chocolates.
remember that too
But
but when I rewatch it, it says Mama always said life was like.
that's the whole
But
point.
that one's kind
But
of like just
You can
but on
just
the
talking.
misremember it.
VHS cover, it says life is like a box of chocolates.
Hmm.
So somebody
See?
misremembered it and put it on the VHS, or there
Or
was some kind
the
of
world
change and
lines got
mess up in
mixed
the
up.
quantum universe.
Or the world lines got
What about
mixed
Field
up.
of Dreams? If you build it, they will
They will
come.
come.
They will
It's
come.
he will come.
What?
No.
Because
No.
what is he building? What is he
It's
building it
they.
for? A specific person.
He's building it for Babe
Yeah.
Ruth, isn't he?
Well, I think, but it's a specific
I thought it
person.
was
Or
for I thought it was for people to come watch the game, and then if they had enough people, like the Babe would
Yeah. See,
come.
that's what I thought too, and I thought they is what it was. But I just watched a little video earlier.
I just thought it
He
meant the
was talking about
players. All the players would come.
just the individual player, and when he comes, everybody else comes too. But it was all about that one player. So
I think a lot of this is bullshit. I think you're lying to me.
the other one, Star Wars, when he says a lot of people remember it, Luke, I am your father, and it's even been portrayed like that a lot of times, like in when people when people
That one,
parody it, like I don't
yeah.
know, like Spaceballs and some other shows and stuff. They're like, Luke, I am your father, but he never says it like that.
Well, no, he says
No, I am
no.
your father.
I am your father or whatever. Because like he's like oh Obi-Wan said you killed him, but you murdered him, and he's like no I am your father. But like I remember I remember hearing that line before I even seen the movie. And mind you, I love Star Wars, but like I always heard it being Luke, I am your father from everyone else, and like
Right.
jokes and parodying it, and people saying like I am your father. But then when I actually saw the movie, I seen it as no, I am your father. So it's possible that the world lines changed in the middle there before,
It's possible something,
right before,
some kind
in
of
between,
temporal disruption happened right in the middle of that.
happened in the middle. Yeah,
Oh my god! I just watched that clip from Field of Dreams. It is He Will Come.
But
What
I'm with
the?
you,
I
dude. I
remember it being
remember They Will
you build
Come
it, they will
so
come.
much.
The
Yeah,
name of the video that I watched it from Fandango was "They Will Come," and they
What
whatever.
about Aqua's song? I'm a Barbie girl. Is it in a Barbie world or in the Barbie world?
I'm a Barbie girl
in the
in a
Barbie
Yeah,
Barbie
it's
world.
actually
world.
the.
Yeah,
But I could see where that one could be
Yeah,
mistaken a little bit because and
yeah.
the
And
yeah,
the
it's
they
musical,
sound the
it's kind
same.
of close.
and
But
it's
the
musical
damn
homage.
cornucopia that is different.
I'm telling you, man. What here's the weird thing to me. The weirder thing to me isn't that I'm experiencing this thing because people can misremember things. It's not just me and Aaron. It's on the goddamn internet. There's a whole fucking name for this effect. A lot of people, and these are just examples that are popular enough to get presented with enough folks that have, like, think about how many times this probably happens on a regular basis with people that never speak and they remember things differently, and they agree on remembering things differently. They never realize that they experience things differently. Like that is a perfect example of how like shit can be constantly be melding together and world lines can be changing and intertangling and all kinds of bullshit and we would never realize it. And as a species, what we always do is we always try to find the most logical explanation that doesn't disturb our like
That's me.
fragile perception on
Don't mess with
how
my
everything
fragile
works.
mindset, boy.
Yeah. Aliens can't be real. That's ridiculous.
It
You're
is.
stupid.
It's stupid.
Deja vu. No, you couldn't have possibly lived something. It's just or been a world line thing. It's your brain. Your brain with the chemicals and the blah blah blah. It's like, yeah, you know what? You're probably right. I'm not saying you're not right. You're probably right. You make a lot more sense. You're smarter than me. But you know what? You don't fucking know. I don't fucking know. And there's a possibility that maybe it's something that you don't realize. At one point in time, people thought eating cheese was a good idea. Guess what? Probably not healthy to survive off cheese. Like, I don't know, man. I just this
Cheese is delicious, though.
it's great, but it's not necessarily
Deja,
good for you.
well,
You know what
the
I'm
whole
saying?
like going back to deja
Large.
vu thing, like it's definitely like a weird experience when you have that. But like sometimes I notice it happens whenever I'm like kind of off. Those days are just kind of off to begin with. Like maybe I'm a little bit sluggish thinking, or maybe I'm like I don't know. I can't really explain it.
Because you have it's because you have a
It's not.
hangover in the
Or
alternate
maybe
you.
like it's affecting me somehow instead.
What if
I don't know. I mean,
all the flat earthers come from a different dimension, and in their dimension, the Earth is flat, and that's why they're
I think it would
crazy.
be easier for.
Like
And
they
that's
remember.
that's why they're crazy.
Wouldn't it be easier for quantum entanglement if you had a flat Earth? It'd just be a bunch of flat, parallel universes stacked on top of each other. It'd probably be really close.
Maybe in their dimension, the Earth is flat. You feel me? And they remember like learning it, and it makes sense to them, and then they got tangled up, and their brain got all shoveled, all mixed up, and now they think the Earth is flat, even though we have videos and shit where there people are in space looking at the goddamn Earth and it's round. Because it's
Well, I
possible.
did have a deja vu event. Like this last week, I was telling Alan about it because I was like sitting there with my dad, and I was like making a list of things that he needed from the grocery store or something, and I was just like, I've been here and done this before. I guess it's not a deja vu. That's a deja vecu or whatever. Experienced it.
Dang, my eyes itching.
I was like, what the heck is. I remember this happening before, but it definitely couldn't have been. My dad's only been
Yeah.
in my house for like a week. There's no way that, this has happened before, right? This is the first time this could have ever happened in this way. But I remember
Yeah.
all the details, like where I was, the room color, me writing certain things down. And it was like I've experienced this before, and I can't explain it. I want to say that it's just a delay in my my intake there, but I don't believe that in true heart of hearts. I don't believe that. I just don't know what else to attribute that to. It's kind of nuts.
It's definitely weird. Um, I don't experience it as much anymore. I don't think. I mean, sometimes I do, but I do have a recurring dream about once every 2 or 3 months of this house and people in this house. Never lived in this house and don't know the people in this house, but I'm like kicking it in this house, living there. I'm like,
I've
all
had something
right.
similar to that
So
too.
I don't know what that's all about.
It's you in the other dimension.
Ooh.
I have a house like that
With other folks. Maybe
with
that's
other
your kids or
people.
something.
I have different
Your
kids.
family.
It's kind of weird because I had
I
kind
don't
of an
know. It's a
experience like that.
possibility.
It was more like it was a dream, but it was like I was living my current life, but in a different house. And it was one of the former houses, and they're not in the same.
But you had actually been
Yeah,
there,
but they're
though.
not even in the same state, so it doesn't really make sense for them to be like in the.
Well, I think your dreams can
No,
cross
my dreams
state lines.
cannot.
I'm
They
pretty
don't
sure.
make sense like that.
They're not regional.
But I think I've had that dream multiple times too, and I don't know what it means. I mean, it could just be just a nonsensical dream, but I like to think that our dreams and stuff have some kind of value, some kind of meaning, but it could be.
I mean, totally off topic. I've had a couple of dreams where I don't know why I'm fighting somebody or whatever, but I'm punching people, and my punches are really, really, really weak.
That's
Yeah, and I'm like, I wake up, I'm like, why the hell are my punches weak in my dream? I'm like, I don't know what the meaning of that
you're just
is.
realizing
I mean,
lead to stimulus that's out there. No, I don't know.
well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm thinking maybe this is like because it's just recently started happening like the last year. Is it because I know I'm getting older and I don't work out as much anymore, so I know I'm physically going to be getting weaker as I age? I mean, don't nobody try it. I still hit like a freight train, just not in my dreams. No, I'm just kidding. So I don't understand that. But it's
It's
got to be your
different.
mind doing something that you're thinking about. So,
I looked so this is something kind of off topic too, but similar. Like I've been having a weird thing since like probably like since like September. Like it was like when I was still when I like we had just had Noah and I was on paternity leave still, and this is like months and months ago. Months it's been happening where I just kept seeing my birthday numbers constantly cropping up like all the time, like in random places, like looking on my phone, looking at highways, looking at times, tickets, money that I paid. Just anytime that I saw numbers, it would randomly, very, very frequently too, I would see my damn birthday numbers. And I was starting to get kind of freaked out, like, oh my God, is this some kind of like sign the universe is sending me where like something bad's gonna happen on my birthday? Like, am I gonna die? Is someone I love gonna die? Like, what the fuck's happening on my birthday? You know what I mean? Like, and I kept seeing it all over the fucking place. See, not to the point where I'm like, I'm Googling this. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I did a bad job Googling. I didn't do too much work on it. And then Lynette, was really concerned because I kept on bringing it up to her. She's like, he keeps fucking bringing this up. It's annoying me. I'm gonna look it up. And she starts looking it up, and it says that like one of the explanations that people have, or no, well, one of the sites that she found, because this is all just fucking make believe shit, right? One of the things is like, um, when you're constantly seeing your birthday, it's the one of the possible explanations is that you're going through a part of your life where some big change is happening, like some big thing is going to happen. You're going to have like almost like a fork in the road situation where like something's going to drastically change and you're going to possibly get rid of something that's been holding you back or something you haven't wanted to happen or you haven't wanted for a while, but it's finally going to be off your chest or off your shoulders and you're going to go into this new phase of your life. And you know today is my birthday, and this is fucking months that ago this happened. Today is my birthday. Today is the last day that I'm working at the place that we all work, and for all intents
oh
and purposes
yeah,
stuff.
true facts.
And I'm like, that's fucking weird.
That's interesting.
The- and that just happened by accident. Because if anything, I normally would take my birthday off. But because of the way the time lined up and everything, and when I'm taking vacation and whatnot, it's like just happened to be that today's the last day. So it's kind of weird to me that 6 months ago I'm constantly seeing this thing, and that it's also saying that it's going to be this huge life-changing, moment. Something's coming that's going to change the new path and all this other shit. And then
You
it's
know what that kind of
thinking
reminds me of is like
kind
Interstellar.
of a
You
big deal.
remember? Is it? Wait, no. Wait, is
Yeah.
Interstellar the one with? Yeah,
Or
with
Matthew
Matthew
McConaughey.
McConaughey, and
All
he
right,
goes
all
back to
right,
his
all
daughter's
right.
bedroom, and he's like trying to give her like messages by throwing the books around and messing with the clock
Yeah.
and all this other stuff.
Different dimension.
Yeah, well, he's like, yeah, exactly. So he's traveling through the
Yeah.
black hole and this anomaly and trying to. But what it would be interesting. It would be kind of curious if that's what's happening in our dreams and in our, like in your experiences, like when you see that time, that time everywhere. For me, it's always like
It's like
420 or
someone's trying to
9/11.
give you a
It's always those
message.
two numbers I always see. But what if it is something like that where it's like, hey, they're like triggering your view, and you just happen to look over there, but you think it's just happening out of for no
Well,
reason.
my
Here's
alternate.
where I'm going to trip you out. What if that's what deja vu and the Mandela effect are? What if it's someone or something in a different dimension trying to snap you awake or snap you aware that something's not quite right? What if it's on some matrix shit, right? Like you gotta believe or know that something's wrong. Like they talk about how, you know, something doesn't feel right all of a sudden, and that's what causes people to go searching for the truth. What if something isn't right? It doesn't have to be like we're living a robot and it's a robotic world and all this
Or
other
not a
bullshit or
simulation.
simulation. But like, what if it's something as simple as like, you know, it's different dimensions, you know what I mean? And we're not cognizant of it or aware of it, and that these experiences make us feel the world differently. They make us think of the world different. They make us see the world as like maybe it's not all that we think, or maybe it's more than we think, and that causes us to go looking for the truth, whatever
Maybe
that
we need
truth
to
may be
open
to
up
us.
our mind at that point, try to be cognizant of everything around us, maybe at those
Or
times or something.
yeah, or like just be don't not be so closed minded about you knowing that everything is what it is, right? Like be more open minded about the fact that we don't know that much, and what we know is, frequently wrong. So being so sure that you know something, you know, about something you literally have no idea about is kind
Yeah,
of
that's
arrogant,
definitely
you know.
anti-me, but it's something that I can think about for sure. Because I like,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
anti you because
Yeah.
you know
I do. I know
everything.
everything, and
Yeah.
everything's logical, and there's a perfect explanation for it all. I mean, you guys are just misremembering things.
Well, and Alan, he's his own hero.
There was
So
What?
another example that I forgot about, but
we were talking about that the other day.
I just don't. I don't. It's not that I don't have heroes. I just don't deify other people.
I'm just messing with you. Go ahead,
there
Isaac.
was an episode of Family Guy. Do you guys remember it? It was the "I Need a Jew" episode.
No,
Sorry for everybody that's offended
canceled.
by that.
You're canceled.
Canceled.
Canceled, exactly. Well, when Family Guy was first
Gotta celebrate our
when Family
differences.
Guy was on its first run on Fox, it had three seasons or complete seasons or four complete seasons. But there was one episode that they didn't air because they thought it was offensive, and that's actually the one that they got canceled for the first time, and that was this episode called "I Need a Jew," where Peter needs somebody to help him with this tax situation or something like that. So he needed a Jewish guy to come and help him with his taxes. That one was apparently never aired, but when it came out on DVD and I was watching it, I
DVD.
said I've seen this episode, and I even told the person that was watching it with me exactly what happens in the episode, and they're like, "Oh, that." Oh, okay. So you have seen this or whatever, but it says on the box this one never aired before.
It's on YouTube though.
I mean, this is before
It was
YouTube.
before. It's when the DVDs came out.
Before
Isaac,
YouTube,
the easy explanation is you got drunk real one time at someone's house during college, and you saw the episode in their room, or maybe you smoked a little bit too much chiba and don't recall it, or something, and
It,
you had seen
it
the
never
episode, and then the
aired.
memory,
It only came on DVD.
oh,
I do know
or
the episode you're
maybe
talking
maybe
about, but
someone
it's
else
never
had a
aired.
DVD before him. Maybe someone else had the DVD
They
before you,
didn't.
and they had it,
I
and you
bought it
just by the
brand
time
new, brah. Brand new. Season 4.
day of day of release, day the
Probably.
DVD came out.
I was a huge
Pre-purchased.
Family Guy fan
See?
back then.
Or maybe the world lines. Or
Hey, now you guys are the ones trying to convince me that I'm not.
in the
no,
alternate
I'm
universe, they don't cancel
I'm
anything.
on your on your wave. I think there's some I think there's always a possibility that there's a lot of different things going on in a lot of different
Oh,
dimensions.
sorry, it was season 3, guys. Sorry, my bad. Season 3.
You lied. See, Mandela effect. You remembered it as season
I did. I
4,
did.
and it was season
It was the end
3.
of season 3, and that's why they didn't have a season 4. And then they got reinstated like later, and then they got it's an interesting topic.
It's interesting. Yeah, it is. And like everything else we talk about, we don't know. Nobody knows. I
Well,
mean, it's all
yeah, true. Well, one thing I kind of know
speculation.
about like the quantum theories and stuff is that it definitely throws everything that we know in like even like relativity, all that other stuff, all those other theories that are out there, things that we think of as constants, get upended with the theories in the quantum realm. So like, there's a lot of unknowns out there, like Alan was saying, and it's hard to tell exactly what is happening. But
A lot of things that people say they know, and then we end up finding out years and years later that what we thought we knew and we thought we knew was a certainty is not a certainty. We were wrong. We had a misunderstanding, or we couldn't perceive something, or we didn't see something. We didn't have the technology or the visibility or something. And that just happens so frequently that I just can't always say that something is like I can be 99.9, but that last point I gotta hold off on it. You know what I mean?
I'm holding off. I'm holding my judgment.
Never know.
You don't.
Never know.
Yeah, it's at the end of the day, we'll probably never know. It's just one of life's mysteries.
But it's super interesting that it's something, especially with the Mandela effect, that it's something that's shared amongst a bunch of
psychosis.
people.
Yeah, it's good.
I wanna find the link. It's really bothering me now. I want to find the link between, like Sinbad did the movie thing. I want to find the link on why we think there's a cornucopia in the Fruit of the Loom logo.
I don't know, because there's not that many things I can think of that have a cornucopia in them.
No, I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
Thanksgiving pictures or whatever is the only time you see fall pictures, and I never see it with like grapes and bananas and apples and shit. It's like
squash.
Yeah, it's pumpkins and potatoes, and so So I don't understand why we would associate that, or why the millions of people that associate that. I got to figure that one out.
I know why.
Why? Because it was real in the lines of crops.
We cross the streams. You can't cross the streams.
Yep, cross the streams, you lose your cornucopia.
You know what it is? It's all those experiments they're doing over there in CERN.
Goddamn CERN.
CERN.
Large Hadron Collider.
CERN everything up.
Many black holes over there, and we're probably getting parallel universes crashing into each other and stuff.
We're gonna have a world war. And there's gonna be a time traveler.
We're about to have it,
to save us.
He's already been here. We had a show about it. He ain't coming back.
Yeah, that's true.
He's going to a different timeline. This place. He's not going back to hit that time.
Yeah, it's like them people are fucked. There ain't nothing I can do for them.
Watch our other videos on Teeter
and plug.
That's a callback, people.
Conspiracy theories, John F. Kennedy, etc., etc.
Yeah, there's some out there, and there's going to be more. If people don't watch it, or people do watch it, or listen to it, or don't listen to it, we're going to be here because this is what we do. We like talking about interesting shit. So, to wrap it all up, we don't know shit about deja vu and the Mandela effect, but it's an interesting topic, and we have theories, just like everybody has theories. So,
no conclusive evidence.
Any closing words? No conclusive evidence. So, closing words from you guys? Anything you want to say?
Don't cross the streams.
Don't cross the streams.
I guess I could try to be like Alan and be more open-minded about the universe and what's going on there. But
you need to quit being such a damn Republican. You need to Democrat it up.
I guess one thing about science is you're supposed to always think. You're supposed to be looking for the best answer all the time, not get stuck in the current answer. So
it's facts. Yeah.
That's true.
All right. So we'll leave everybody with those words of wisdom. Don't cross the stream, and be more open-minded. You don't always know that you're right. So until next time, you guys check out our website, partiallycultured.com. Give us some comments, etc. And we'll see you.
Bye, guys.
See ya.